Okay, so in all of my years playing tabletop role-playing games, in my just under 2 years at BDG, I never thought I would see this one. Okay, we're gonna do this. Welcome to Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit. Today, Kitsune Kage requests we optimize throwing the Halfling. They requested we optimize around the hurling rage powers, and that's a way to do it. I have found a better one. I'm sorry, all of my instincts that revolve around playing this game, playing it well, being kind, being nice, not throwing people, and not playing that guy at the table are all at war with each other right now, because yeah, there's a way to do it. So that's a thing. And we're here to talk all about it. If you're liking what you're seeing, remember to like, subscribe, and ding the bell. After this, we've got 1 week before Pathfinder 2nd Edition is out. So after this one, we've got one more definitive Pathfinder 1st Edition episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit. After that, we'll be on 2nd Edition, probably for a good while. Remember, if you have any requests, they go down there. Remember, if you're a patron, they go up there. And today, this episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit was brought to you in part by the man who requested it, Mr. AJ Parker. To be honest, my friend, thank you for a challenge. I can't believe I've built this. Who am I? What is life? I don't understand anything at all. Here we go. Let's drop in. Okay, so I'm so sure we all know that guy. The person who shows up usually to like a pickup game at a con, not necessarily like an organized event, just kind of like we're sitting in the corner running a dungeon or something. And they don't want to play their character well, they're there just to meme. Specifically, I very much remember Planet Comic-Con 2000 and I believe it was 15? Yeah, 2015. I sit down for one of the very few games of 5e I've ever played in my life, and some kid in a homemade cowboy hat with an Avenged Sevenfold death bat on it played the pre-gen druid that was available and just spent all his time throwing his shovel. A similar thing happens when we throw the halfling. That's probably the oldest running joke in tabletop role-playing games, except for the fact that like fighters are good, and now Spellcraft will have seen this and he will attack me in Discord. But it's the notion, right? Here's a guy who's 3 foot tall and 30 pounds, and here's a guy that's 6 foot a bajillion and can lift a car with his pinky. Sure, I'm gonna chuck the halfling. Why, yes, you can in fact build around it. As a quick disclaimer, and if I'm wrong, if there is a rules as written precedent, please cite your sources in the comments below. As far as I can tell, as far as my patrons can tell, as far as my girlfriend can tell, as far as everyone I've spoken to on the subject can tell, there is no strict rules as written for what happens to the halfling when you yeet them. I'm going to say that word a lot. I'm not super proud of it, but that's the meme we're doing. When you yeet them at the bad guy, do they take damage? Are they entitled to a reflex save, an acrobatics check, something like that, to negate some of that damage? Is it like a bull rush? Do they both fall prone? Does it provoke an attack of opportunity when the halfling goes through the giant square? I think that one's fair at least. There's nothing codified. What I will say is, aside from you fighting a gelatinous cube, and okay, don't throw the halfling into the gelatinous cube. That's just rude. Don't do it. Aside from a GM super willing to nerf this, it's playable, but it's not game-breaking. There are a lot of things that are just as scary, if not more so, out there. What I think is reasonable is, no matter what you, the GM, want to rule it as, the halfling should be allowed some kind of save for half or to mitigate. It's only fair. If someone shows up at your table playing this, God, please tell me about your experiences also, and you just take a crap on it, not only have they wasted an entire build, but you're like shooing them away from the game, and you're either going to run somebody off from all of tabletop role-playing games, or worse, they're just going to come back and play tier 1 casters forever, no good. Anyway, Gonna jump off my soapbox on that one. Let's talk about the build itself. For our rice, I think I gotta use this voice. This seems like a proper Halfling yeeting voice here. We gotta be a human. Why? Because I need a bonus feat. I want to be able to do all this stuff at first level. However, if you are on a lower point by, the orc also looks really, really good because you need to prioritize your strength above all else. It's so important when you pick up the halfling or whatever small creature you're yeeting and all of their gear that you're not encumbered. Otherwise, the penalty you're going to take to hit offsets everything. Our class today will be one of my very favorites, the Brawler. No flexibility here this time. There are 2 archetypes that look just golden for us. The first of which is known as the Hinyasi. I think I'm mispronouncing that wrong. I don't know how they talk in the Southernlands. In any case, as a Hinyasi, I gain my choice to catch off guard or throw whatever small thing I can get my hands on as a bonus feat at first level. And with improvisation training, I'll deal damage equal to my unarmed strike when fighting with an improvised weapon. And I treat improvised weapons as if they're from the close fighter weapon group, and you know what that means? That means you can flurry of blows with the halfling. Yeah, that's an entirely different thing unto itself. And I guess disclaimer the second, someone might argue that the halfling is not an improvised weapon as they are not an object. I think it stands to reason that if the halfling can sense, the halfling can ball up and or just like shoulder check people when thrown. Seems to be just as improvised as anything else. But it gets better. At 4th level, the Inyasi learns to confound and befuddle, choosing either bull rush, drag, disarm, sunder, reposition, or trip when I hit an opponent with my good friend here. I can perform that maneuver as a free action with a -4. So now we're not just yeeting the halfling, now we're bowling with him. It's a beautiful thing. This is the thing that RPGs are made of. Why am I Australian? That's just where I went. Don't judge me. Stop judging me. At 10th and 16th level, we choose 2 different kinds of combat maneuvers. That makes it even cooler. Disarming someone could be really, really good. I didn't necessarily take the disarm feats, and unfortunately we are trading out martial flexibility, but in games where you're fighting a lot of dudes with swords, that could super pan out for you. And for me other archetype is the Snakebite Striker. Why? Sneak attack. Eventually, after a feat, 6d6 worth of sneak attack doesn't look bad on nobody, don't know how. Especially if you've always got a flanking buddy who you're chucking at people and hopefully he doesn't like die horribly because you chucked him onto the dire porcupine or whatever it is the GM's broken out to stop you. And with Snake Feint, beginning at 11th level once per round, I can declare my square and one adjacent square as the origin of my attacks till my next turn, which makes flanking ludicrously easy. Now let's talk about our feats, shall we? They're real good. Surprisingly good. Surprisingly, there's a lot of support for the improvised weapon, up to and including the surprise weapon trait. Want a free +2 trait bonus on attack rolls with improvised weapons? Yeah, there it is. Boom, done. And that's super huge because when our unarmed strike damage ticks up, that means not only can we not just outright punch somebody, a coffee mug, a bar stool, the halfling, don't forget about the halfling. Maybe I should have just been Ferrator from Mortal Kombat 10. I feel like that's what this super secretly really is. And anything in between, it's the same amount of damage. And it's a lot of damage, too. No other way to say it. Anywho, human, brawler, 3 feats at first level with a bonus feat. We will, of course, take point blank shot the taxman cometh, but our next 2 feats are anything but. They're basically what we need to be online, and we have them from go. Not a lot of classes can say that. First up with throw anything, I suffer not 1 penalty for throwing my little friend here into the face of some other folk. And a +1 circumstance bonus on that roll? Yeah, sure, why not? But no, the big one is the other one that we had to take from being a human. Can you imagine what this voice would sound like if I had green skin and tusks as big as me thumbs? Yeah, exactly, it'd be super weird. Can't do that, nuh-uh. Catch off guard. This little gem says that I don't suffer no penalties for hitting someone with a bar stool, hitting someone with a broom handle, hitting someone with Frodo Baggins over here. He's sitting there all unconscious and shaking and trying to put on a ring. It seems rude to not bash your orcs with him. And unarmed opponents are flat-footed against any attack you make with your best friend. Or, again, a book, if you must. And I think we can all see how huge that is for a class with sneak attack. We're not taking the disarm feats, and the sneak attack we're taking gets rid of martial flexibility, but God, if you're fighting a lot of dudes with weapons, the disarm feats are beautiful for this. 100% of the time, they work all the time. Next up, at level 3, we will grab Precise Shot, and we'll all yawn at once. Hooray for the feat tax. Man, I really hope to have a handle on that in 2nd edition. Anywho, it's 2 feats at 5th. The first one of kind of secretly one of Tommy's favorite ones that he's never really got a chance to use, Opening Volley. Whenever you deal damage with a ranged attack, aka whenever you throw Frodo Baggins at somebody's dome. And I suppose one of the better questions we all ask ourselves is, if I put my Halfling, if I put him inside my Blinkback belt and I throw him, does he come back? Is he a weapon? Can I enchant him? What happens if I spell storing him? Will he get zatzed? I don't know. Anywho, it's a +4 circumstance bonus on the next melee attack against that opponent. The attack must occur before the end of your next turn. Yeet the Halfling and then punch. Yeet the Halfling and then whap with broomstick. There's probably a lot of improvised weapons that can be both one-handed and reach weapons, so that's fun. And you know what else is fun? Fighting dirty. Seriously, I guess I just turned into Russell Crowe from that episode of South Park. I like fighting all around the world. But dirty fighting is another feat we're taking this level, because it's better than combat expertise is why. And whenever you attempt a combat maneuver check against a foe you're flanking, you can forego the +2 bonus on your attack roll for flanking to instead have the combat maneuver not provoke. Or if you have, say, improved trip, you can just get a free outflank for your CMB. Man, now I realize that when I was grappling Mock Murray, I have that. Why wasn't I flanking? Gah! Triggers are missed and I am bad. But again, on the real, dirty fighting counts as having Dex 13, Int 13, though the brawler can cheat that, combat expertise, and improved unarmed strike for the purposes of meeting the prereqs of the various improved combat maneuver feats, as well as feats that require those improved combat maneuvers as prerequisites. Death to Texas, but no Frodo Baggins. We don't want to hurt him. We don't want to break his poor little head. Send him flying feet first, I guess. Throw him by the hair. Yeet! God, I hate myself so much. Next, improvisational focus. And focus is what I'll do. Oh God, why did I ever start doing voices? Coming all the way from a really good book for some of my favorite classes, the Martial Arts Handbook. This gives us a +1 on attack rolls that you make using an improvised weapon. You are considered proficient with the improvised weapon and are considered to have weapon focus for the purposes of meeting prereqs of feats that specifically specify a weapon. Think weapon specialization, which is pretty sweet, and please believe we're taking weapon specialization, but not yet. We'll talk about that in a second. Next up, improvised weapon mastery. As here says, I don't suffer no penalties for taking Frodo Baggins, Samwise Gamgee, tying them together, using them as some improvised flail thing, and murdering dragons with them. Right, that's how the Lord of the Rings goes. I know how reading works. In addition, I can increase the amount of damage dealt, but it doesn't matter, because at this point, our own unarmed strike damage is way more. But suddenly, we get a free pseudo-improved critical that is an improved critical. So if you want to jam, like, improved critical improvised weapon onto, like, the training enchantment on a Kaistis, I suppose, suddenly you have 17 to 20 halflings. No, not that many. One halfling. I can't throw 17 to 20. I have to stop. I have to have me lunch. And that was a really bad joke. But you guys can have it. Anyway, next, weapon specialization. Free +2 to damage. Hooray! Now, you guys know me. I've said this one a million times, 1,000,001 times. Anybody who's attacking with a ranged weapon wants to be within 30 feet. It stands to reason they're going to be in the threat range of something at some point. So Point Blank Master has to come at 11th alongside improved trip. Of course, ranged improvised weapons no longer provoke attacks of opportunity. Improved trip gives us a +2, and we're not provoking anymore. Greater trip is next. And that is just hilarious. That's total of a +4 when I throw what is another good name for a small thing? Smeagol. When I throw Smeagol across the screen there and it hits somebody and they fall over, I've bought off the penalty and it provokes, and suddenly Smeagol's biting off the thumbs or whatever it is. Right, we see how that's really good. Suddenly they're flat-footed, they're falling over, stab, and then get in that flanking position. Once they die, just scramble on back up into the arms of the angels here, and we'll go again. Next up, it'll be Accomplished Sneak Attacker to increase our sneak attack by 1d6. Then, a bunch of boring feats to round it out. Power Attack, level 15, almost all the way up. A full base attack progression class that we are means that 1, 4, carry the 6, 8, 12, plus 8. You can't see it, but I'm holding up 4 fingers. 2 more damage, just kinda out of nowhere. Oops, no one saw that coming. Then it's Hammer the Gap, because we have a free 2-weapon Fortin, 2-weapon Halfling Yeetin. Might as well get that extra damage in, and Combat Rhythm to buy off the negs from Power Attack. And from 2-weapon Fortin. Feels real good. Last but not least, Combat Reflexes. Because people are going to be standing up. People are going to be provoking. People are going to get punched. People are going to get hit with, I don't know. Isn't that like a meme on your internet thing? The object to your left is now the thing you're going to use in the zombie apocalypse, and also the last villain of the video game you played is now coming at you. How f***ed are ya? Right, see, I'm real good at that, because I'm going to look to my left. Actually, I think we need Tommy for this one. Big coffee cup. Several d6 of damage. Right, several d6 of damage in the old coffee cup. It's just real good. Now, I'm not going to go super into detail on the damage this time. I'm not going to do so because it's so dependent on the GM. This is the grayest of min-maxing for fun and profits, bar none, that I have ever created. We thought we were pushing boundaries when kinetic blasts could count as spells for a sorcerer's bloodline arcana. Still, I think is fair. Also, fight me. If you fight me instead, I'll just throw Tommy at you and he'll complain a bunch and break his glasses, and suddenly I don't know why I'm tempted to use Keith from Yu-Gi-Oh! As the art for this. That would be bad copyrights. But again, there's just no saying where our halfling friend ends up or what he does. My idea, and could you imagine if it was me and you took roll with it and I took damage and I just and went somewhere else? Go away, goblin. But it would be good though. It might be. If your GM thinks that you take damage when you throw the halfling is now a goblin, he takes roll with it, he negates all of what is probably not a lot of damage and then sets up the flank. Oopsie daisies. My thought is acrobatics check to not take fall damage, be a rogue, take kip up because you might go prone, stand up, get the flank, and sneak attack them into the ground. To be honest, in mid to late game play, as a small creature, there's probably a lot of things you can just straight up run under the legs, a la Ganon from the Ocarina of Time, to get at that sweet, sweet tail, or that sweet, sweet flank. Both are fine. I think it's sorta arbitrary. But, real quick, couple of magic items. First up, in your body slot, the Monk's Robe. We count as a monk. We'd really like our unarmed strikes to be as a monk of 5 levels higher. Gets us to 20th level that much faster. Stone Fist gloves. And yeah, there's a little bit of mythic stuff on here. If your game does not include mythic rules, work with your GM. Ask what they think would be a fair price for this item if all it did was let your unarmed strikes act as if you were one size category larger and bypass a hardness of 8 or lower. Basically just a slightly bigger Stone Fist spell. Lastly, we'll need to combine that item with the Gloves of Improvised Might, which are like the Amulets of Mighty Fist, except this is just to make sure whatever improvised weapon you pick up to whap somebody in the head with will still break DR, will still have the enchantments of your choice. This ain't nothing. I'll need another small thing. What's it? I'm thinking, hold on. Oh, I got it. You know that one about swinging a dead cat? Well, what if the cat was alive and actually was some kind of like small cat folk race, and then could get sneak attack a bunch, or maybe like grapple, or maybe the dragon's just allergic to cat folk. I could be a huge creature if I wanted to, at least a large creature. The point is, we just want to make sure we're doing our damage pretty consistently. What I will say about our damage before we sign off is the reason I chose the Hinyasi over any of the other classes that could do this is because the Hinyasi uses Brawler unarmed strike damage. That means, and we're treating our attacks as if we were a large creature. So what if I told you by level 20, or with monk robes, by level 15, which is an attainable level in adventure paths, I'm just saying, that Halfling could do 48 points of damage. That's so much. And there's so many little incremental things we can add, to say nothing of what the Halfling does when you throw him, when you yeet. What if that Halfling grabs onto him and then turns into like a huge octopus or something? I'm still really partial to just you set up the flank to sneak attack, maybe like tie a rope around the small creature's waist and use them as like a weird meteor hammer. If that's not an improvised weapon, I don't know what is. But the first idea was just, alright, time to go again. Reels in. Who is another small thing we could make fun of? What is... Kirby! Hey, Kirby's a small little guy. I don't know why I thought of Kirby, but yeah, there you go. Yeet the Kirby. He's a little puffball, then you die a miserable death. 48 plus all our strength, plus all the incremental buffs to hitting with improvised weapons, a lot of them exist, plus sneak attack could mean a lot of insanity. Again, I'm not going to go super in depth because I know this one is kind of entirely up to GM call, and I don't want to tell you things that might not necessarily fly at your table, or at least things that I can't, like, explain the rules as written to you about, or give you a, yeah, this is fair. Of course, remember your big six, kids. Follow this card right up here. If you try to play this in the optimized party, what? Stop it. Stop it. You probably like Switch hitters, though. Follow this card, y'all figure it out. What? I don't know. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today. What? I can't believe I did that. I can't believe that's playable. What do you guys think? Have you ever thrown the Halfling for value? And I don't mean like, oh, you need to get up the stairs. I'm gonna throw you up the stairs. No, don't walk. I got you. Kobe! I mean like thrown a Halfling at a monster with serious intent. In the comments, we're gonna talk. But anyway, that's all the time we have, like I said. Thank you guys so much for watching. In case you didn't know, there was this book thing that came out. The Paizo folks may or may not have slipped it to me. It's called Chronicle of Legends. And it has some alternate capstones for all of the classes and some that can apply to all of them as well. Next week, we're going to rank them. That seems like a good way to send off, once again, Pathfinder 1st Edition, right? Yeah, I agree. And I will see you guys next Saturday.